social media accounts featuring video testimonials from people smuggled into the UK were among more than 8,000 shut down last year for promoting the crime. Other accounts removed by the National Crime Agency in 2024, including one offering prizes to migrants who referred a friend to illegal services. The National Crime Agency saw a 40% increase in the number of accounts taken down from platforms like Facebook, X, YouTube and TikTok compared to the figures for 2023. Let's speak to Stephen Wolfe, friend of the show, former MEP and director of the Centre for Migration and Prosperity. Stephen, good afternoon to you. I mean, you could say, you know, trebles all round for taking these kind of videos down, right? I mean, that's a good thing, but clearly there's still enough material out there to entice.
Good afternoon, Ian. Yes, look, let's be positive when we should be positive with both the government and our police forces who are able to work with the social media companies to bring these down. But what it does show is two things. First of all, is the power of the people smugglers and their reach and their capabilities of using social media as a great marketing tool. And secondly, that they're still a force to be reckoned with. And as we publish research over the weekend, which I know is talking with your team, already they've made around £7 million this year with the 1,098 that they've managed to smuggle across the channels. So when they're earning so much money, just £7 million in 3 weeks, this is nothing. It's a drop in the ocean for them.
Yeah, absolutely. This would be, you know, once in a while you see a big drug bust, don't you? And, you know, you think, oh, that's got to surely be 17 tons of Peruvian marching powder nabbed at Dover docks. Surely there's never going to be a drug trade again. Doesn't touch the sides.
No, and unfortunately not. I mean, we're looking at these pretty big numbers. And, you know, I've had a number of discussions with various parties over the weekend about how we are managing to deal with this, bearing in mind the success that Donald Trump has had. I mean, I'm sure you've been well up on what he was doing in relation to Colombia.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. It was extraordinary, very simple move.
Absolutely. And should we do that with France? Should we say that we will close down Calais? We will not allow any more imports into the United Kingdom coming across the Eurostar. If we do that, would that actually make the French finally listen and get their people, who we actually are paying for, the tune of £500 million in the past 10 years, £500 million that we've given the French? Would that be something that could successfully work to encourage them to actually do the job that we require them to do, which is stop people leaving the Calais borders?
And the stopping people leaving from Calais borders has continued with pace since Mr. Starmer took the big job. I know we've talked about this before, Stephen. You know, him and Yvette Cooper keep wanging on about smashing the gangs while hardly getting to the coalface of the problem, which is stopping the boats.
Absolutely. I mean, they came up with some really good phrases and they, you know, good intentions, as did Rishi Sunak. You know, stop the boats, stop the gangs. We've heard the language before. But the reality is what most people are looking at. And when they see Donald Trump achieving this within the first week or few days of him coming into power, is asking the question, why can't you do exactly the same? Here we are going through the same rigmarole of saying that we can work with our European colleagues and Europol and the services there to stop them coming into Europe in the first place. No, it's not. The key answer now to a lot of Europe's issues is turning to those countries on its borders and saying, well, we can see what Donald Trump has done. We will stop giving you the money. Over 100 billion euros has been sent to African countries in the past 10 years from the European Union, and yet you still see huge numbers coming up the Mediterranean, Eastern Mediterranean and the Western Mediterranean routes into Europe.
What would happen, if, hypothetically, if Keir Starmer got a load of boats and maybe a load of planes and kind of sort of, right, I'm going to do a bit of a Colombia thing here. All of those people that have crossed the channel this week, and maybe those from the last 7 months, you know, they know mostly that there are hotels where many of these people are, and they said, you know, really sorry guys, you gave it a go, this isn't the way to do it. Everybody's on a plane or a boat, they return to France and end of. What would literally happen if he did that?
Well, I think the NHS will be overwhelmed with the number of people who are having heart attacks, to be honest, Ian.
That's true.
Yeah, I'd see that as. But I think what it would do is it would actually cause a massive European European political issue, because the French just wouldn't accept it, nor would the European Union.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something like that, and I've been arguing this for some time. Is something needs to change. Something needs to change in the psyche of our civil servants. We need to look at the Foreign Office, who have always tried to protect this kind of international calamity, as they would see it, if we disagreed so vehemently with the French. Perhaps it is something like that would actually finally get people to think around the table. But I'm also intrigued by the way that Donald Trump kind of addressed Davos, which obviously, as we know, Keir Starmer loves Davos more than Parliament.
Yeah.
Recently saw that particular clip, shocking as it is. But when he was there, you started to see some of the huge businesses, the major conglomerates, starting to talk differently about the language across a whole spectrum of things, and immigration was one of those. So perhaps Europe can finally start to see they've got an opening here, an opportunity to change tact.
Well, but will they, of course? Will they move from that kind of groupthink speak of Western leaders where they all appear to parrot a very kind of similar line from a pre-prepared press release, Stephen? It's that kind of Trudeau, Macron, Sunak-y, Starmer type way of running things that they seem absolutely wedded to for some extraordinary reason.
Well, they do seem wedded to it for two particular reasons. One is that I think when we saw Angela Merkel, she was heavily backed by Bertelsmann and the huge newspaper and media power that's in Germany, on the argument that we needed to have people coming into Germany to fill the businesses. And the second big argument is those by the economists that run the European Central Bank, and we see it here in the Treasury, is that they believe that we have displacement of population, that we're not producing enough children, our population is declining, and therefore you need to import thousands more from abroad to be able to fill the jobs. Those are the two huge drivers that go behind the concept of GDP growth. And no one seems to contemplate that in a growing world where you'll see more mechanization, more technology through AI, that is not necessarily the way forward. You need to look at production and productivity rather than just bringing in low-skilled wages.
There it is. Stephen, thank you. Stephen Wolfe, as ever, talking some common sense, former MEP Director of the Centre for Migration and Prosperity. Thank you to him.